All right, I got one more here for you. This is best community member. Of course, we're talking about the Packers Twitter community here. Mm-hmm. Best community member goes to JJ Leahy. So if you're listening to this, you already know who Erin Ellis is. She's a beloved member, a central member, I feel, in the Twitter community for Packers. And if you didn't see this already, her cat Jet it has been sick lately, some really bad stuff. And so Erin was posting about that. And then JJ just on the side said, hey, I didn't ask Erin's permission, but I'm going to put together a GoFundMe here to help her out with expenses because that stuff gets expensive fast, especially like at this time of year at the holidays, and she just moved, so like that's extra expenses you have to kind of like, recover from.
Yeah.
So just to do that. And first of all, to do that is awesome. But then second of all, like just tons of people jumped on it right away. And the goal that he set of $1,000 was exceeded, I think, in a very short time frame.
Right.
I will admit I did contribute. And by the time I went to go look at it, it was already well past the goal. But I was like, you know what? Expenses for this kind of thing are going to go higher than you anticipate. So just huge props to JJ Leahy for doing that, for getting that together, and for the success it had. I'm not surprised it was successul. People love Erin. We love Erin. She's amazing.
So fun. And she'll be a guest here soon. Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, sorry. We can't wait to have you, Erin. I like I said, I haven't spent much time on social media this week, and I kind of glanced at it. I looked at the total and I'm like, she's good. But one thing I did with my cat, and I did this when I had Scottish deerhounds, is I have pet insurance. So I've had, anyone who's been listening to us know that I had a kitten 2 weeks after my neurosurgery. And I thought she was right here. One of these days she's going to make an appearance. Oh no, she's over there now. And I've been buried in vet bills, and a couple of them were rejected because it was a pre-existing condition, supposedly from the shelter where I got her, but when she hurt her leg, that wasn't, and that alone she spent a whole day in emergency on fluids and on medicines, and oh my God, so it's expensive, and those vets deserve to get paid that too. I'm never one they shouldn't get paid. They're charging too much. Well, if you had to go to an emergency room, that's how much you would pay. It's the same process. They have to sterilize, they have to run IVs, they have to have nurse, So anyway, very nice, JJ, for taking the initiative like that. I thought it was lovely. And I hope Jet's doing well. Erin, we want to hear from you. I haven't been online. Have you seen pictures of Jet or anything since?
She's been posting updates every day or so. It's like yesterday or whatever that happened.
Right.
She's been posting regular updates though on how Jet's doing. I mean, there's still a lot that has to happen for the cat, for Jet a boy or a girl cat? I think a girl cat, but I'm not sure now. I should know that. But Jet's health is still, there's a lot that has to happen yet. But of course, that's what the money is for, is to make that happen. So
very nice.
Yep. Yeah, situation gotta to be monitored, to see how that goes.
Yeah. Because I know that.
As you know, yes.
You think, okay, I got through that one. It's a few $100. Oh, it's a few hundred more. Now we're talking thousands. It's like,
exactly.
Yeah, but that's how health is, So coolio.
Yeah. So Dawn, what do you have for us this week?
Well, this week, of course, in the NFL overall, John Madden memories abounded, and
R.I.P.
and he, because I wasn't really interested in football when I was younger, but I did realize in listening to a lot of comments about him, and not comments, a podcast who ended up talking about him, even Packer podcasts. I was just listening to the Athletic Football Show earlier today, and they spent, a good portion of the first part of their podcast talking about him, which it brought it all back. And so it was like he was like this soundtrack going on in the other room, not maybe my one that I would have turned on, but it was there. And for some reason, I, kind of forgot about the whole turducken thing. And I do remember, and I don't know what year it was, I haven't had a chance to look, but I remember it, and I remember us all joking about it. And then I remember thinking, maybe when I was, do you know when that happened? Was that like in the 70s?
no idea.
When he started that talking about the the thing about him is I never got the feeling that it was like a shtick with him. It's just who he was.
Yeah, I totally get very genuine. Definitely.
Genuine, yes. And I just feel like, and we were talking before the show, and I just feel like there isn't any, I think there are some people out there that are trying to be like him, but you can't, you're just an imitation. You can't be like, man, you got to be you, it's everybody has to be yourself.
Absolutely. Anyway,
so, and in usual fashion, it reminded me that in France, there is a dish that is like that, but only it's like 8 different birds. And so I'm going to read you. It's disgusting. It's disgusting, especially if you're a vegan. Okay. But this bird inside of a bird, I don't know where he came up with it. It was, probably the South. Was he from the South?
I don't know where he's from. I don't know.
I forgot about that. Okay. So the French recipe in English, it's the roast without equal is called. That's the English version translation. And it was created by a chef in France in 1807. So and I want to call it Turducken. I always put the F in there. I almost
no F, Todd. No.
I was calling it Turducken all day.
That's perilously close to like not getting a clean rating for this episode.
Yes. Sorry. It's the way it comes out in my head. Okay, so this recipe, this original French recipe from 1807, it calls, listen, check this out. Mm-hmm. A tiny warbler stuffed in a bunting, inserted in a lark, squeezed in a thrush, thrown in a quail, inserted in a lapwing, introduced to a plover, piled into a partridge, wormed into a woodcock, shoehorned into a teal, kicked into a guinea fowl, rammed inside a duck, that's terrible, shoved into a chicken, jammed up in a pheasant, wedged deep inside a goose, and lodged into a turkey. So, wow. Madden, rest in peace. Thank you for, say it for me because I'm going to do it wrong. Turducken. Yeah. I almost did it. It's just
we just run off there. Like, I love meat. That sounds awful.
I mean, just the process, and even though I don't like to eat or handle any kind of animals, I have occasionally made turkeys and done the stuffing. It is the grossest, just the turkey alone. Can you imagine dealing with all of those birds? How many was that? 17, 13?
You read off a lot of birds.
That's a lot of birds that I don't even know. From a warbler to crazy. Anyway, so that's and then eventually, I believe it was in New Orleans, they came up with the 3 bird
an actual like
the turducken
manageable number of birds. Yeah.
Which is where that's why I asked if he was from the South, which is where he came up, or how he introduced it to the NFL family. So God bless him. Let's see, what was my other? I lost my superlatives. Okay, so I have another one. But before I go, I was feeling, and so this is most nostalgic. I was feeling so nostalgic listening to all these stories that I forgot were like way back in my depths of my consciousness from being a child about men, and kind of forgot about all that. And, I keep hearing, I always hear about the Madden game and stuff. And they were also talking about how people who are, younger today, like your kids obviously won't know who he was. Probably my grand nieces and nephews wouldn't remember who he is, but they play Madden. He's actually a person, Yeah. Character. Yeah. So one of a kind. Okay. So that was a little long, especially because the French, how they do things with their recipes. So my second one was just that I finally had an experience with Twitter Spaces. I was, like I said, very briefly on and off social media, and I popped on I think it was yesterday briefly. And I noticed that Aaron Jones was on a Twitter space. And so I jumped in.
That's awesome.
Woo-hoo!
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it was put on by the NFL and it was Aaron Jones. So that was my first experience with this, like Clubhouse. I think we've talked about that.
Yeah, because Jamie talked about it when we had her on. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just listen and you can send little emojis and things like that if you want. But I think there are a few hundred people on it. But it was really, I just love that guy.
He's awesome. Yeah.
So when I saw he was on Twitter Space, I'm like, I can't just click off. That's like out of respect. I'm going to listen. And it was very enjoyable. It's kind of cool. It's almost like another podcast. You're just listening to a discussion. We need to do a space one of these times.
That's what Jamie said.
Yeah, we need to do that. Yes, we do. We need to follow up on that. Maybe after the new year. So he was also with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. I don't know who they are. Who are they?
Oh, they're writers. And
writers.
I think Dan Jeremiah does a lot of stuff with the draft, if I remember correctly. I think Bucky Brooks does a fair amount too, but they both write for, I want to say NFL.com probably.
NFL then. Yeah. Okay. I noticed I knew the name Bucky Brooks. It's kind of a cool name, Bucky Brooks.
It's like a comic book name.
I know. It is. It's perfect. And Coach Matt LaFleur, number 3. Coach Matt LaFleur, and I don't know what superlative is. I'll come up with it at the end, or maybe you can help me.
I'll help you.
Coach Matt LaFleur is getting national recognition for Coach of the Year in a big way. I happened to listen to, I think it was a podcast, not YouTube, where Chris Sims said, hey, everyone. Now, he said it last year too, I believe. What is going on? Give this man Coach of the Year already. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. So anyone who thinks that I think that he is getting, I try to listen to some national coverage, not just be in the echo chamber of Packers coverage.
You have to.
I love it.
Yeah, no, you have to though. I'm finding that more and more. Like if I just listen to the Packers stuff, like I don't have a sense of what's going on outside. I don't have perspective. Right. Yes, agree.
Good. And that's why I watch other games too. But so then I like to listen to who's covering them. And so I know what's coming, except I don't need to with the in-division people because we know them well enough.
Yes.
Because we play them enough. I just mean, and no disrespect there, and then of course I like to follow the California teams. And that, so it's like, well, I've been following what's going on with the Browns for a couple of years, and I kind of felt for the Brownies. And I love Myles Garrett. So I was interested in seeing, and we never heard one peep out of him for the game last week.
That's true.
I was like, where's Myles Garrett?
Credit Yash Nyman.
You
our dude Yash.
Hello.
Hey.
Maddie.
Hi, I'm still here. Did you freeze?
Oh, Maddie.
Oh no.
Hello, everyone.
I've frozen on Don's side. Here we go. All right, Don's back.
There you are.
All right.
I was like, could you hear me say that?
The whole time, yeah.
Oh.
I had frozen on your end, but you were not frozen on my end. It was kind of crazy. So anyhow, you're saying I was saying Yash did a lot to hold down the line there.
That's
keep
right.
Myles Garrett out of Aaron Rodgers' face. Did a lot of that. There's some help always. They always have some like chip blocking stuff like that, but still, our dude Yash. Yeah, for sure. Well, coolio, Matt. So those are my superlatives for the week. Did I do 3? Yes. So we got Madden, we got whatever the second one, Turducken in Madden, Coach of the Year, and whatever the middle one. See how I forget? I'm already Twitter Spaces were there.
Twitter Spaces were there. I have no memory anymore. Everyone said it would happen when you turn 60. They were not kidding.
Oh, it goes.
Okay, anyway, and I'm sure the migraine doesn't. So any bonuses or final thoughts before we log off? Anything about
just actually 2 little things here. So before we started recording, I'd mentioned some of the stuff I got for Christmas. And so I have a new water bottle. So people who watch the video version might notice that's a different water bottle. No one's gonna notice. I'm just kidding. And the other thing is I got a ring light. So again, if you're watching the video version, you'll notice that I don't look quite as grainy as usual. So that's very exciting for me. Big stuff for here in Cincinnati. But other than that, I guess just like Aaron Rodgers keeps saying, just savor these games, savor this experience. He might be our quarterback next year. He might retire. Who knows? Who knows? So just these are like really just golden times to be a Packers fan. So just soak it in, just enjoy it,
Yeah.
It's a really good season.
It's a really good season. We've had
all the craziness.
Yeah.
So much craziness.
I just feel like if he's smart, I'm not telling him what to do, but if it were me, if I were like the best quarterback in the league. Okay, I think of Johnny. Does anyone remember Johnny Carson?
I remember Johnny Carson. Totally.
He went out on top.
Mm-hmm.
Pure class, that man. And so win the Super Bowl. I feel like if he doesn't, he'll want to come back and try again. Just because he's such a competitor. That's kind of my thought. Which I wouldn't do. And I don't see why not. And I do appreciate that he was talking a lot this week about how lucky he was, or whatever his word was, to be able to sit behind Favre for 3 years. Hello, everyone. Remember that. And also, and he thanked the organization, and that was nice, because after the summer we had, we needed to hear that. So that was very nice. So
yeah, even saying good things about Gutekunst, even. So,
exactly.
Really nice.
It doesn't surprise me. I never thought it was, but that's fine. But it's all speculative anyway. I figured it would all work out, and it did. And it did.
Well, do you have any other last thoughts from you, Dawn?
That's enough for me. I can't even remember what
Well, where can people find you on the socials then?
My name is, I should put like in one of those papers. My name is Dawn. My home is, where they write it on your tag.
Oh, you're killing me, Dawn.
Getting that bad.
You're killing me this week.
Oh, in case I get lost. I took my cat out in her mesh backpack today because it didn't rain. So we went for a walk. I'm going to be taking pictures of her at the ocean soon.
Ooh.
I don't think she'll like it, but I don't care. She'll live. Okay. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. That's Dawn DeQuisto, DAWNDACQUISTO. And our podcast is in all of those same places. Hey, we like your pod at Hey Willip, HEYWLYP. And Maddie, where can we find you?
I'm at Matt Trombone on Twitter. That's 3 T's in the middle. Friends, please subscribe, rate, and share. Hey, we like your pod wherever you listen. It helps us grow our audience and keep doing what we do.
Yes, it really does. And we appreciate you all joining us here. We're both so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and to have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
I hope we wrap up our with another big value.
Hope we wrap up with pictures of your cat in the ocean.